hopefully what I'm going to talk a little bit about is a little bit of transformation. So as we heard from John earlier and the explosions, Ingram comes from a business where we've seen that same explosion in the book side of that business as well. And so I thought I would start with just, again, my name is Shawn Everson. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Ingram Content Group, which is the world's largest wholesaler of books and in and around content, both physically, digitally, and I'm also the president of Ingram Periodicals. As you talk about the world is reading, I thought I'd read a quote. It says, "Reading is important because if you can read, you can learn anything about everything and everything about anything." And so, what I thought I would do is start by just looking at just a little bit of quick history about Ingram. And we are, again, one of the largest privately held companies in the United States. And you'll see we do more than magazines. We actually do books. And we also move a lot of material up and down the inland waterways. And we're the largest inland barge carrier in the United States as well. This is a little bit about who we are. The content group started in 1964. We've got 23 locations around the world that we actually either print, I said the word print, books, and it's fascinating as you talk about, again, celebrating print. We are actually investing for sure, and you'll see this in a minute, in print facilities for books. We've invested in magazine distribution facilities as well throughout the period of the last 20 years as well. But you'll see we touch just about every publisher in this country and about anybody that sells books or magazines as well, and libraries as well. So as we look at that, this is what we looked like in 2005, and I'm going to talk about 1995 here in just a minute because it was a pretty pivotal year for us. But since 2005, we had 4 print distribution facilities in the United States. We now have 23 worldwide. And you'll see a couple different colors there. You'll see blue and green. Blue are our own Ingram facilities, whether they're lightning source print-on-demand facilities or physical distribution facilities for print books or physical distribution centers for print magazines. The green are our partners throughout the world that do printing for us. And those are very unique print facilities that are very similar to our lightning source print-on-demand facilities. They're just in a different country and closer to the end consumer. And what we do is a library sharing. So in Germany, we actually work with a company called BOD, Books on Demand. They have our English language title base there that's in print-on-demand. We have their German title base here in the United States, and we actually sell each other's title base. What's important about that is while we're still printing physical books, there is none of the inventory carrying cost, none of the returns, because we only print to order. And an example is we sell about 600 units a week of German content. And you say, well, that's a small number. Well, we used to carry 0 and sold 0 of those. And now that you send that content out into a feed, you can now print that to order. Same things happen in Germany, in Russia, in Brazil, India, China, and Poland. So wanted to kind of give you a little touch base on where we are on the print. Ingram has had to, and you'll see a light blue line on the left side of 1995 and a dark blue line on the right side. And while that was not the explosion that John talked about, this is actually when John Ingram's father passed away, and John Ingram inherited this business, inherited a legacy wholesale business, literally books and magazines to brick and mortar stores. And so, and you'll see up to that point what we invested in was just physical distribution centers. Past that point, and that was when the dream of lightning source or print on demand was really kind of started. And I think we revolutionized that business. Since that time, we've had to transform and innovate ourselves, or we would have not just been one of those explosions, but the aftermath of that explosion as just a traditional legacy wholesaler. And I think you'll hear from Dave in a little bit. We're both having to do that and look at the services business to help publishers and retailers. And so all throughout the time period, I won't bore you with this, but print-on-demand facilities, digital acquisitions along the way, this is what we do. We literally connect content with readers. We don't create the content, and we don't sell to the end reader. But through retailers, educators, libraries, and publishers, what we do is offer services to help them grow their business, increase their efficiency, find savings, and gain that experience. And you'll see in just a minute, one of the big areas that's seeing a resurgence are the local bookstores. And while they went through a tough time in 2008 during the Great Recession, because at one time a bookstore was a book lover that just happened to have a physical place to house their books, they have become very good business people. And so you'll see on the right all of the services we have. That's not all of them. That's just some of the main categories. Again, from digital learning to e-commerce, again to custom, to print on demand, again to global distribution. What we try to do is, again, offer those services. And in 1995, we had 100% of our gross profit in that legacy business. That's what John inherited, a nice business. But had we not had to innovate and transform that business, again, we would still have 100%. It would be a much smaller number. And you can see this chart shows not just the growth of our gross profit, but where that comes from. So in 2005, 10 years after that, that yellow part of that bar is really just Lightning Source. So about 13% of our gross profit came from Lightning Source, and 87% of that still came from physical book distribution or magazine distribution. And in 2015, last year, that has now started to flip-flop. And so 56% of that has come from either publisher distribution or fee-based business, Lightning Source, digital products, and 44%, again, of the gross profit has come from the legacy business. So you can see if we had just stood still, literally, this business would be a much smaller business. But the game is constantly changing. So, you know, I don't know how many people actually open a book that looks like that, but in reality, we all do. It just doesn't look quite like that. We flipped our pages. I was looking at my presentation on my phone. And just a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that, right? It wouldn't have been able to open it up because it was a massive presentation. But what is changing is So ebook has now finally started to stabilize. It is still about 23 to 24% of the total book sales are e. That chart starts at 2010, okay? So think about 24% of your business just going away from print. That's what's happening in the book side of the business. Now, granted, we have e-businesses that help publishers move that e-content, but that has been a tough part of the change, but it is starting to stabilize and becoming actually a much slower growth area. A very interesting thing here. So the everything store. Amazon obviously is now, was just an online retailer, has opened up, I don't know how many people have been to their bookstore in Seattle. They're opening one in San Diego as well. A very well curated bookstore, a fairly large newsstand, bigger than I would have thought they would have had. It's interesting to see just how much spending is done online, which takes people away from that destination. It's hard to look at a newsstand online. You lose interest pretty quick, right? So as you look at that, our goal is to create more competition for Amazon, to get those folks back into the local independent bookstores. You got Barnes & Noble, you've got, again, shopping local, and that's what's important to millennials. And one of the things that a quote out of the book, and not a quote, but the book, The Great Good Place, talks about the third place, whether that's the barber shop, the coffee shop, or the bookstore. And if you ever get to Seattle, you need to go into a store called Third Place Books. It's the most fascinating independent bookstore. I've been there at, when they open. I've been there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been there on a Saturday. I've been there on a Tuesday. And it's amazing to watch the people in that bookstore because it's their third place. It's that community place. And I drive towards that because Ingram in the magazine world is a non-traditional magazine distributor. Yes, we go in general where others won't go. And have always done that because we service the retailers. So again, what makes these retailers not just interesting but successful? So we heard Andy talk and Hubert talk about sell-through in Germany, and our sell-through is much higher. Our average sell-through is about 44% as a wholesaler of magazines. Challenged a little bit because of Barnes & Noble and the number of titles they sell, and even places like Follett bookstores that have a lower sell-through. But places like our REI will have a 75% sell-through. A very well curated magazine section of the best hiking and the best biking magazines, not multiple selections. Gander Mountain, Square Books right here in Oxford, Mississippi, a very good independent bookstore, and obviously probably everybody has heard of Powell's. But I say that to say this is a chart that obviously was just in the latest. I did it a little bit different than what it was presented, but in Magnet's fourth quarter results, and you can see, as John pointed out, a pretty challenging industry. And you start looking at some of the declines in dollar sale and unit sale, and you got to say what stands out different. And it is bookstores. It is some of these very unique destination places. Magazines are an experience. You get into them, and again, I had never heard that number until last night, that you spend 40 minutes in a magazine. But it's true. It's an experience. What the other part of that chart and those explosions along the way that people have forgotten is the explosion of Borders going away. And so when Borders went away, not just in the magazine but in the book industry, a claim is about 50% of all of Borders sales just truly disappeared. The baskets, because they had, again, 600 stores. The fact of the matter is, what needed to happen was not just one retailer with 640 stores, but two with a smaller number. But bookstores are important because they are a destination. If you've been to a Barnes & Noble, you realize you have the selection you want. It's well curated. I was at Indigo, Chapters Indigo in Canada, in Toronto, just last week. A very well curated newsstand. Easy to navigate, what you needed, when you needed it. And so I think the key to growing the newsstand is to realize that we've got to understand where the consumer is shopping. Again, I think the point was very well made. The checkout, maybe my wife shops a lot at the grocery store, but I'm on my phone in that checkout. I'm not looking for extra stuff right there. If I don't have it by the time I get there, I don't need it, all right? And so it's a pretty important thing. And in order to not just increase the efficiencies, but also stem the declines, we have got to take advantage of where, again, the world is reading, where they're spending their time, what they're experiencing. And I thought I would leave you with this. Again, just, there's a bunch of possibilities. And we do have to work together. David, Perry, and I, we try to, even while you'd say, well, you're competitors. The fact of the matter is, we're both really trying to transform our businesses to be able to help this industry. I wasn't here when there were hundreds of wholesalers, all right? I was working for UPS probably, moving that stuff. But in reality, there are just a few of us, all right? And we really want to help you. But we've got to make some changes together to be able to lower the cost, increase the efficiency, and we can make this a very successful business together. Thanks.